Hey everyone, this is Cameron, the co-host and editor of Renegade Animation on renegadepopculture.com. If you like what we do, please give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe on YouTube or Apple Podcast. Or, wherever you listen to us. We are where podcasts can be found, either in audio or video form. And if you can, consider supporting our Patreon. That way we can keep doing what we love, and that's talking about the utterly chaotic state of the animation industry, the world of animation in general. And now, on with the show.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host this evening. Joining me, as always, is the animation guru himself, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And everyone's favorite Crazy Lemur, Bree.
Hello.
And yeah, today is an old school episode where we only have one movie to talk about, but we have a great indie pilot and a whole bunch of news to get to. But first, I do just want to give a quick shout out to Muppets Treasure Island, which turns 30 today. So in case anyone wasn't feeling old enough.
Mike, how dare you?
Yeah, no. I still have the VHS like that. I have no idea if it works, but I still have it.
And the girl who left through time is turning 20 this year. It's like, gosh darn, man. Stop.
Oh, you want to feel really old? You know what's celebrating anniversary this year?
What?
Shrek.
Oh, no.
25.
Oh, God.
I still have that one on VHS somewhere.
Oh, you're a true OG. You have it on VHS.
And then one of the news topics we'll talk about is Allegro Non Troppo is turning 50. Father Time will not stop.
No, it won't. First up, there's a brand new animated movie called Goat that honestly made a pretty penny over the President's Day weekend.
I was pleasantly surprised because it also came out the same time as Mamoru Hosoda's Scarlet, which we did try to get a screener for it, but I heard no response back from them. And we'll keep trying. Otherwise, we'll save Scarlet for a Mamoru Hosoda retrospective later down the line.
Yeah, and Sony's usually good with us, but Sony was like, no.
No, we're not going to respond to you. It's like, I find it so frustrating trying to get in contact with certain film companies because it's like, hey, do you have a PR email? And they're like, no, use our PR email. What's your PR email? And it's just like, well, it's this one. Okay, well, but you got to go through a hidden temple style challenge to try to get to it. And it's like, you are making this so much harder for us than it needs to be.
Yeah, it's like, help me help you.
Yeah, it's not only that. I can't even imagine if you're like, just like an influencer in general, and that being that hard. I'm like, do you want people to watch your shit or not?
And Sony Pictures Classics is so infamous for that kind of nonsense because...
Which is so weird because the rest of Sony is easy. Crunchyroll? Yeah, you can get a hold of them. Sony Pictures Releasing? No problem. Classics? Nah.
Which is funny because I got the ability to watch They Shot the Piano Player, which didn't really make any blink on the radar. And then they kept contacting me about an opportunity to interview the director, which I did, and it was a lovely little quick interview. But now it's like, I can't get in contact with you now to talk about Scarlet. I have my review of it already. It would just be for the podcast. Anyway, let's actually talk about Goat, which, though, I find it funny that it's like, we're going to talk about Goat, but let's air our grievances right now and focus on that and not Goat, which, listen, I liked Goat. I had a good time yesterday watching it at the Regal that I went to. I wish I was the only one there, but then a few families came in and I was like, okay, I gotta be a respectable audience member now. And I think, and Bria, I'm going to ask you a little question about this.
Shoot.
Because you have taken these writing classes that you've told us about.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Have they ever talked about a situation, or has anyone ever asked a question of what is, like, how you focus on your protagonist? Because this movie that's called Goat and is about a small goat who is considered too small to play rollerball or, Mario-style basketball. And yet, the GOAT is not really the main focus of the movie. Because if you watch the trailers, it's all about the GOAT. The GOAT. He's too small. He's the underdog. He's going to make it big on this struggling, Mighty Ducks underdog team. And then it really shifts focus after the 20 or 30-minute mark. The focus on the Panther, the Jet Fillmore, played by Gabrielle Union, gets more of a story arc and focus than Will Harris, who is voiced by Stranger Things alumni Caleb McLaughlin, even though the whole movie is called GOAT. And I understand there's the greatest of all time, which, yeah, it might be a play on that, but I don't know. Have you ever encountered, a teacher in these writing classes or someone who talks about how you gotta, pick your protagonist here?
Yeah, I mean, if you have, a mixed cast, you could, but to me, this screams more of an issue with marketing, that they were, leaning more on, Caleb McLaughlin, because, hey, it's the kid from Stranger Things. Y'all like Stranger Things, right? Well, maybe not so much more now, but at the time that this movie was made and started to be marketed.
Yeah, because we started seeing trailers for this way before even part 1 of season 5. So
yeah, I thought the first teaser was in September.
It's something like that.
Yeah, because I was predicting we would see some kind of preview of it at Animation as Film. We didn't. And to me, that is the biggest hindrance of this movie, because Jet Fillmore has a much more interesting story arc of she was the greatest, she is not having a great streak of games, and she's having to get over the fact that she may be put out the pasture to retire soon, to let someone else take the glory and the fame. But she's so egocentric and narcissistic about it. She can't, she's willing to ruin the winning streak that they're having to basically stay on top, to be no, I'm the greatest. But then it's okay, well, this movie's not called The Cat's Pajamas. It's called GOAT.
I mean, from where you're talking, is she more of an antagonistic role?
No,
because
I wouldn't say she's an antagonist. I think both Will Harris, he's the titular GOAT, and Jet, they're
they're co-leads. Okay, so then to me, the screams is maybe balancing issues, or something maybe got lost in the edit a little bit. So I will say one thing. The cynical ass in me, and I can't believe I'm saying this in 2026, but I feel if they leaned on Gabrielle Union, because they're oh, it's a girl panther, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that might be part of it. I don't think that's completely it.
Here's the other thing. Just to jump on a point that you made in this fictionalized Roarball, all the teams are co-ed, so at no point do they really get into that kind of story.
Yeah, no, I meant the marketing, not the film for himself. I'm talking about the overall marketing, because well, we've seen this story so many times. We've learned nothing from Frozen. We learned nothing from Barbie, and from the looks of it, we're gonna learn nothing from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh, Sony, you are fucking frustrating, man.
Yep.
It's not even just them, it's the entire film industry. But to kind of wrap back around to your point, Cameron, I think if it's a co-lead situation, I think, what is this film, 90 minutes?
A little over.
A little, 100 minutes, maybe?
Yeah.
I think it's not so much they did anything wrong, but I think it's more of a result of having to streamline things in order to fit that runtime. If this was maybe a longer movie, say Into or Across the Spider-Verse, I don't think those issues would have been as apparent, because those arcs would have been more spread out. But I think what you might be seeing is just a more concise storyline that maybe just wasn't executed 10 out of 10, maybe it's an 8.5 out of 10.
Here's the other possibility, that we just have two different types of arcs with these characters. Like I would say, in my opinion, there are more dimensions to Jet's character because she actually goes through like a transformational arc, whereas Will's arc is I want to be a professional rollerball player. Oh, I get to play with my idol. Cool. And
That's
then
pretty much it.
yeah, and then the rest of his arc is sort of like influencing everyone else on the team. He's the drop in the bucket character.
Well, I think he's just a more interesting character, and the kind of wrap around with Frozen. Actually, I think this is a good comparison. Like the first Frozen, like yeah, Elsa's the most popular character, but the main character of that movie was Anna. Like it was Anna's arc, but you see like Anna and Elsa together. I mean, yes, Elsa, for better or worse, did get her own arc in Frozen 2. I will still defend parts of Frozen 2, but God, that movie's a hot fucking mess on so many levels. I just think that maybe at some point this movie maybe was like a little bit longer and they had sort of a more back and forth dynamic, but time is money, so not every script can be as tight as like K-pop Demon Hunter's script.
Because what happens with this movie is that it takes like 20 to 30 minutes for Will to finally get into the rollerball scene, and then it takes like 10 minutes for him to finally do something. And then after they win their first game and then go through the montage of just like everyone's becoming their best version of the player that they are, Will takes like a back seat. He becomes like the mentor character in some regards because he's trying to tell Jet that like people still love you, and I'm sorry that people put a lot of pressure on you because you're supposed to be the greatest, the GOAT, and yet you're not doing as well against the up and coming generational like shift of players, especially with main attraction voiced by Aaron Pierre, who a great condescending douchebag villain, but he is also taken out through like 70% of this movie. He's more like a looming threat than a ongoing villain, like how the AI was in the Mitchells versus the Machines or the Spot is in the Spider-Verse movies.
Well, to me, what you're describing sounds more like a pacing issue than like a character rating issue.
Okay, because I feel like that's been like that because I like the cast, but there are moments where this seems like this could have been like a 2-hour movie. I think that would have been fine. I think, if I recall, the first Slam Dunk was almost around 2 hours.
Across the Spider-Verse is 2 hours.
Yep.
And yet, when what we go through with this movie, like we've talked about, Will wants to be the best. Okay, he gets on the team. He shows why he is going to be one of the best. Then you got Jet's, like, I want to outrace Father Time from telling me to retire. And also helping all these new side characters become better players and then dealing with main attraction, which, by the way, even though I love Aaron Pierre's performance, just how boastful and pompous Maine is, you can already tell he's a bad person because one of the first things you see him do in the movie is shill for cryptocurrency. It's like it doesn't take him being a pompous windbag to be a bad guy when he's shilling for crypto, man. In 2026.
The second time I saw this movie, that was like probably the biggest laugh I had because I picked up on, oh, that's who the character is.
Yeah, I wonder what Steph Curry feels about cryptocurrency in basketball. Gee, I wonder why.
I like these side characters, but they could have also had a little more to them. The problem with this movie is that it doesn't go into any real interesting directions for a sports movie because it's going to be unfair to compare this to the first Slam Dunk because the first Slam Dunk has like decades of lore and history with these characters, but it focuses on one game. It's like the last game for these characters before they graduate and go to either some kind of high school or college or something like that. I forgot. And here, it's trying to be like every sports movie. It honestly reminded me how F1 was paced, because on one hand, obviously Brad Pitt is kind of the co-lead character with the other actor, But the whole movie that should have been about the other actor then shifts into, oh man, we got to give Brad Pitt his day in the sun to win the grand F1 race. And it's like, cool, you just shoved your other co-lead to the side because Brad Pitt couldn't be bothered to share the spotlight. I mean, and I'm saying this as someone who likes F1, but it's something you can easily criticize about it. It's like how in Top Gun Maverick, where, oh, Miles Teller should be the main character, but Tom Cruise is like, no, man, I gotta do this. And it's just like, okay, Tom, okay.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how GOAT kind of falls into that same story structure.
Because I like these side characters, these other teammates, like Archie Everhart, the Rhino, the loving dad character. Like, again, it's all about character design and what you choose to add to those characters, which, again, people should not have a hang-up about humanoid anthro characters, because you can get a lot with picking a specific animal for them. The gentle parenting type. Yes, give it to a rhino, because rhinos aren't actually the most violent things ever. And even though he can be violent, that's just like, yeah, what do you expect when you piss off a rhinoceros?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Lenny Williamson, who's voiced by Stephen Curry, who I always get a little worried when, like, I see sports athletes get into acting, because it's like, oh boy, what kind of gamble are we dealing with here? Is this a vanity project, or is it like, no, I'm actually genuinely interested in it? But Stephen Curry actually did a pretty good job as Lenny, because of course, Lenny's been described as, he's a great defender, but he's always got his head in the clouds. Oh, gee, is that because he's a giraffe? And because their heads are literally in the clouds. Or you get Olivia Burke, the ostrich, who's voiced by Nicola Coughlan, who I thought also was very funny, and they didn't overplay her stressed out about social media, part of her character. And of course, obviously, like, what kind of animal would be stressed out about reacting to social media? Well, obviously, the bird that sticks its head in the ground. Or supposedly, it's been kind of proven that, like, no, they don't actually do that. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, me neither.
But the best character, the one that we all should make into a shrine to worship, because Modo is life. Modo is icon. Modo is a delightfully weird character. And not just because he's voiced by Nick Kroll. I don't know what it is about Nick Kroll. I cannot stand the big mouth comedy stuff that he makes. But as a character actor, I love him.
Yeah, I think the reason why, out of all the celebrity voice actors, Nick Kroll is one of the best, is because he will lean into. Yeah, he's a character actor. He will lean into the absurdity of whatever role he's playing.
And I'm sorry, but Modo represents a lot of those basketball players who kind of went off the deep end a little. That he's a little maybe Dennis Rodman. That also puts a spotlight on, I'm sure not all lizard or monitor lizard owners are like this, but they're kind of weird. They don't advertise this enough, but he has this Fabergé egg that he carries around with him at all times. And he also does, like, really elegant dancing, like if he was part of, like, the Russian ballet group. It's the characters, like, animation for Modo, whoever was behind him, or the team that was behind him, I think had the most fun with the weird characters. And I think that's just a thing that's common in animated movies. You, of course, want to be like, oh, put me as the main character animator, or the villain, or the side characters. No, man, put me with the weirdo, because I will go all in on a weirdo. Like, the animation for Modo is delightful, where they're all on the plane, and Will is just trying to find a place to sit, and Modo's laying horizontally on top of his chair. And Will's just like, can I sit here? Like, is anybody taking this seat? And he says, like, yeah, well, technically, no. And then you see Modo's shedded skin fall on top of Will.
Oh, God.
And they're like, Will's like, oh, what the hell is this? Say, it's my skin. I'm molting. And then he like planks sideways across two seats, like in an aisle and such. And oh god, I would say he's a great character to follow or to do an assignment on for character animation.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's pretty good. The animation is great. That's probably the one thing that is carrying this whole movie to the other side of the basketball ring.
Yeah, this, I would say, as far as like character design and world building, this movie is just an absolute feast for the eyes. Like if you really want to like study like how expressive you can make characters in this like animation style, definitely pay attention to Moto, but pay attention to all of the characters and how they move, because that also kind of dictates their personality too.
Yeah, I feel like this is a natural evolution of like everything Sony Pictures Animation and Sony Imageworks has built in their pipeline for like the last decade.
It pretty much has, because first of all, the environments are amazing. Especially the main location. I think it's called like Vinewood, if I recall.
Vineland.
And it looks, I mean, like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, is this just urban Zootopia? And kinda, it's like Oakland. Like the Zootopia answer to Oakland, I think. And there's so much personality. There's like a roughness to it that's a lot of fun. It's not as like polished as Zootopia's world is, which that's kind of the point, thematically the point with Zootopia, but still.
Yeah, whereas Zootopia is like Epcot, this is like the actual reality of the world.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it, but it has a very urban feel to everything. It feels lived in. It feels decrepit in some ways. And of course, going to all these different locations is a lot of fun. Like I said, it's basically if you took a Mario Kart or like Mario Tennis and made it with basketball, because there's like all these environmental gimmicks and stuff, especially with the last one, which it's like, okay, how much is this actually basketball at this point if you can make pillars of lava spew out? How many deaths have happened because of a mishap at one of these locations? Because Will almost gets like frozen in the icy ring, like basketball ring at one point, and it's just funny because it's just, you don't think about it too much.
I think that's another thing that I appreciate about the world building, how like, yes, we know visually that this is basketball, but they took an extra step to like make the sport kind of its own thing with, as you put it, like the different terrains for each court.
And for me, I appreciate that from like a world building perspective, because yeah, you could have just said, oh, it's basketball. But here's like the world building thing about it. Basketball is a human sport. By like nature, if we're living in an all animal world, it wouldn't be human basketball. So I appreciate them actually putting in the work in to say, okay, this is basketball, but this is this universe's version of basketball.
And I think they did have to spice it up, because it would have just been boring if it was just basketball with humanoid animals. So why not play with the fact that these are animals? And they do. It takes advantage of that. It's a shame that this movie is built so much around the animation and the world, whereas the writing, which I looked this up on Letterboxd, this movie has 4 different writers and 1 original writer. So that's 5 people. Or like, I guess 1 person who came up with the foundation, and then 4 other people came in to do whatever they needed to.
I don't think that's entirely weird for animation.
Oh, no, it's not. I understand. I guess sometimes I get a little weary when I see it's like 2, I understand, but 5? Okay.
That usually suggests it's been tossed around by a couple different hands.
Exactly. Luckily, even though there's like pacing issues, and then the fact that like in the 3rd act, it kicks off with finding out that the owner of the team that our main characters are in, Florence Everson, voiced by Jennifer Lewis, which, by the way, great idea to make this character a warthog, because Warthogs, outside of honey badgers, do not take shit.
Nope.
And she is great, but then she also becomes like more of an antagonist at the end because she's like, I'm selling the team. And it's just like, okay, David Zaslav, which again, I wish main attraction was a little more of a villain. We didn't need two villains.
Yeah, not only that, but it's not even like they were working together or anything. Like, you know, they made a deal, and if the Thorns lost this game, then he would be the one that she sells the team to or something like that.
Yeah, but no, it's just they have again, main attraction, even though he's this big, boastful personality, not in the movie a whole lot. Even with the Goat Tears diss track, which, yeah, this guy is so freaking petty. I feel like this movie needed more work around to either make Jet the main focus or you make Will the focus, because on top of those two elements struggling, then you got two different villains, and that's on top of a cast of colorful characters that even include the coach played by Patton Oswalt, who I thought was also pretty good in this, especially when he has his moment to shine where Jet finally gives up the ego to let Dennis be the coach. And throughout the whole movie up until this point, Dennis is just like, okay, y'all do your best, where it's not all about winning. And the moment he gets the whistle, he's like, okay, you little shits, I'm gonna call every one of you out. And I like that he doesn't even give Will, the new potential goat, as they say, any flack. He's like, no, Will, you are a goat. Find, and you're small, find a means to work around that, to get around the other big players and such. And I think the voice cast is overall pretty good. As much as we can be tired and cranky about celebrity voice casts, if the characters are entertaining or the actors themselves are doing more to immerse themselves into the role, I don't mind the celebrity voice cast. Even though, yeah, it doesn't help when Steve Carell is just like, I get to walk into Universal with my PJs and get paid $12 million. Cool. And it's like, Steve, shut up.
It is annoying when they celebrities say things like that, because it kind of it discredits the work that professional voice actors have been training their entire lives for.
I feel like Steve Carell is the only one who can kind of get away with that, because originally he was a voice actor.
I could see that, and he's more of a character actor than other celebrities. Like when Chris Rock did the same thing, where he's just like, it's the easiest job in the world.
No, that's insulting. Steve was just trying to be this is so funny. This is how fun voice acting is, versus oh, this is easy, you don't have to do effort. I feel like there's a lot of difference in there.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that, where it's just I didn't mean to be condescending to voice actors, because for all things considered, Illumination is one of the few studios that will let voice actors get major, at the very least, secondary roles in movies, unlike what Disney and DreamWorks do, where they're just celebrities, or, Paramount, of all people. But at least with celebrity casting, they were having a lot of fun. Grizz, who is voiced by Jelly Roll, listen, I understand. Jelly Roll has basically worn out his welcome because he keeps collaborating with every other person known to mankind in the music scene, and his music has tanked for that reason. But as the minor antagonist / good guy by the end, bully character, Grizz, it sounded like he at least was having fun with the role. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Andrew Santino or Bobby Lee. I did like their bickering announcement, even though sometimes it leans and I assure you, this is something on the animators, the actors, and the writers, that Chuck and Rusty, the two commentating on the sports events, maybe are a little more than roommates. It's I don't know, they don't explicitly say it, but the way that they bicker like a married couple.
Yeah, it's like if you know, you know.
Obviously, you can just have two guy friends who are platonically like just best friends and stuff. But the way that they word some of their dialogue, it's like, come on. Especially with this sucks. Will's friend, who's voiced by Sherry Cola. Again, give Sherry Cola better work. They don't shy away from the fact that this one friend is very queer leaning. I did also like the small cameo role of Wayne Knight as Frank, the hamster and such.
That's fun.
Like, Wayne Knight, again, one of those few celebrity character actors who knows how to voice acting such.
Not only that, it's a nice Space Jam throwback.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It is. There could be a lot of jokes that could go awry. Frank having 500 million kids is actually a really funny visual gag and joke throughout the whole movie and such. And they do get like a bunch of actual basketball players voicing the other like some of the characters in this movie. I think the two daughters for David Harbour's character Archie, they were handled pretty well, though there was definitely a difference in casting with the first teaser than when you see the final product, because I think they had some temporary voice actor with a not auto-tuned voice, but like one to make more high-pitched.
They
because
pitched it up, yeah. They probably had like the scratch track still in there.
Probably.
And because Van, the young actress that they got for Adi and Ari, does not sound like how they do in the teaser trailer and such. And I mean, like, I had a good time. I'm still kind of amazed at this year. Like, what's your favorite movie, like, animated film of the year so far, Cameron? Oh yeah, it's the Zombieland Saga movie, which to me had more consistent laughs, a compelling story, and better action. I'm not going to say better animation because it's like two entirely different mediums of animation. But I had a good time with Goat, and I understand, like, even though I wish it had a better story structure, I do understand the drive of the characters and such. It just sucks that Will gets stuck with I'm going to be the Hokage. Oh, I'm the Hokage. What now?
Yeah.
Like, even though he does get like a touching story with his mom, who's played by Jennifer Hudson, but they don't have a lot of time with that. Like, for Will to build up on that, or with his like parental figure at the diner, Carol, who's voiced by Aisha Curry. Like I said, still had a great time. The story does have its good moments. Once again, though, in the final act, Moto saves the day in one of the funniest, weirdest product placements that I can think of for a movie, because you see the PlayStation, obviously, DoorDash, obviously, if you saw any of the Super Bowl ads, but there's an Uno tie-in with this movie, and it ties in with Moto, and it is the funniest thing of what happens at the end.
Yeah.
Because, well, so, you know, like we said, the Warthog, Florence, like, ends up, like, getting fired and kicked out, you know. And now they're like, oh, well, we're not going to be in Vine. Mike, say the name of the place again.
Oh, the team will no longer be in Vineland, but we'll always have the championship trophy.
And then Moto is just like, the team stays in Vineland. And they're like, Moto, you okay up there, buddy? And he's like, I'm the new owner. And won the contract in a high-stakes game of Uno. Basically did a reverse Uno and saved the day.
Yep. It's kind of like he did his own version of the Leonardo I'm not leaving speech from Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh yeah. Let's move on. Let's go support this movie, because again, if you really want to support original movies, then you got to actually go see them. Even though I know this was like a really crowded weekend with like Wuthering Heights, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, and Crime 101. Like, really busy week for movies.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, go see Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. One
Seriously.
of my favorite movies from last year that I saw at Fantastic Fest. But do go see Goat, because, you know, by the time March comes around, Pixar's Hoppers is going to be the big new original animated film coming out. So go go support original movies, y'all.
Yeah, before we move on, I just want to point out how just how healthy, relatively speaking, animation in 2026 is, like, this year compared to 2023, for example, when there was like nothing until April. This month we have like a more steady stream, and I kind of wish this is more of the norm.
Yeah, especially since I think the first sequel we're getting is not until April with the Super Mario Galaxy movie. And the only other sequel I can think off the top of my head, and I could be wrong, is the Minions movie.
I think Toy Story 5 comes out this year also.
Oh,
That's
right.
June.
But to have a steady stream of animated releases instead of especially like last year.
Oh yeah, last year's hot garbage.
It's like January, June, and nothing in between. Sorry. And it's like, I'm glad for that. It gives us more to talk about, and maybe we'll have to wrap the Hoppers discussion with the New York International Children's Film Festival discussion, since it's having a special preview there by the time we get to it. But we're going to move on to our indie pilots of the episode for discussion, which we're talking about Spice Frontier, which, yeah, you could say it might not be the smallest one in need of support, but if people really want the indie animation scene to thrive, they all need to start hitting that 1 million view mark or more. And I know, obviously, not everything can be that first episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, but we need more pilots, man. We need more shows to actually start thriving. And Spice Frontier might be one of the more frustrating. It's not like a failure per se, but because it sounds like they're working on the next episode, they have a plan of what the story's going to be about. But Mike, what did you and Bree discuss about the frustration of this one not doing as well as the others?
So, putting aside like analytics and everything, just artistically, Spice Frontier is exactly what animation fans claim they want to see.
Like, almost scientifically in the bottle. Like, let's see, it has Disney kind of aesthetics, high quality, higher budget animation. Pop that bitch on a 4K TV, you're good.
Yeah. And yet, for some reason, this pilot can barely reach, 900,000 views on YouTube.
And listen, if you want high-polished animation, the studio that made this are made of people who have worked in the industry. They know what they're doing. These people, and I know because I did an interview with them when they made their Kickstarter game way back in the day. And these people worked at studios like Warner Brothers and DreamWorks. They worked on How to Train Your Dragon and Lord of the Rings. This is what you want, right? You want professional people making a highly polished pilot, which is this really cool, fun, old school sci-fi action adventure show where these people crash land on a planet and they spend the episodes try to fix their ship and then end up in a very dicey situation while also expanding upon little possible story blips and story arcs for the characters. And yet, even when other major animation YouTubers talk about it, you're telling me that nobody could get this thing to over 1 million? Most pilots stop and die at 300,000 views or even less. It's so frustrating because this thing is a highly polished experience.
No, it's professional. It is that nice, smooth in between of regular TV animation and movie quality. It is higher budget, streaming level quality, I would say.
Yeah.
It's I have to be specific about this because I'm going to say the Netflix He-Man series, and you're going to ask me which one. And it's not the Kevin Smith one, the reboot-ish reimagining
Oh, the
He-Man.
one from 2021.
Yeah, the one that we actually liked a lot that had Ben Diskin as Skeletor and Josh Keaton as He-Man. And it had like really nice stylized CGI. Like the character designs, it's like what Titan AE wanted to be.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people are going to be like, I like Titan AE. How dare you say that? And it's like, do you? Just saying.
I've watched Titan AE, and it is definitely a movie that exists.
It's like, this is what Titan AE should have been. It's like if it got its TV series or something like that, where these people go on adventures across the galaxy while dealing with their own personal hiccups and hang-ups and, Tawama. And, like, yes, the human male character is the least interesting character, even though I understand you have to have some kind of human surrogate in a team full of robots and aliens. But the aliens have so much more personality to them in their animation. They are fun to look at. They're not only visually distinct, but their movements are unique. And even though we complained about this before with certain pilots, where it's more of an episode 1 than an actual self-contained pilot, I didn't mind that as much this time around.
Yeah. Usually the complaint is you're making an episode 1 with no real guarantee that you're going to follow it up. This time it's like, yeah, like it seems like they're a bit more secure in their plan. Like I feel like based on the little preview that we got for the rest of the season, that this team, they wrote like maybe not like an entire script for a season, but at the very least they've got a show Bible.
All right, like Bree, what do you think about this?
I mean, aesthetically, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It's like a more polished version of that short-lived, like, Star Wars sequel trilogy adjacent. So I think it was Star Wars Resistance.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, that's exactly an accurate visual comparison, because that one tried to have, like, this cool cel-shaded cartoony look, and then, yeah, what happened to that show?
I think it just died on the vine.
It came out in 2019. I think it had Tron Uprising syndrome, because unfortunately it aired on Disney XD in 2019.
Yeah, therein lies the problem.
And it was towards the end of like the sequel trilogy, so
That's not a good.
I think this was aired right before Disney Plus launched. So yeah.
It got 2 seasons and 40 episodes.
Which in reality means one season order split into 2 parts.
It's funny because it won a Saturn Award for Best Animated Series on Television for its debut season, which is interesting, because I don't hear anyone talk about this show.
Well, because, again, Disney XD, and if it had more than, like, 200,000 viewers, I would legitimately be shocked.
That's a shame, because there's, like, a lot of good, like, voice cast picks here.
Yeah, I forget. I think Polygon Pictures might have done that one.
Oh, yeah, they did. You can tell. It's like, you can tell when a Flying Bark Productions does something, and you can tell when a Polygon Pictures worked on something. And you can tell when Polygon Pictures is working on a Japan-based production and a outsourced US production. It's really night and day. No offense to them. I mean, they're a good studio. They're really talented with their CGI. They're one of the few studios that can work with CGI. It just also sucks that Studio Orange exists.
It's because Orange kind of has it like down, like they have their own house style and they've just really figured out like their engine, and Polygon like is kind of honestly hit or miss.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
unfortunately.
So, like, yes, normally I would be like, man, you couldn't get them off the island, or like made this a longer pilot to get them off the planet and such. But I was captivated. I liked their dynamics. It was fun to see them all separated from one another and that they could work as either individual characters or different pairings. And it makes me want to see more, which is a good thing. There's that difference between I want to see more because I like what I see, and I want to see more because there's not much here. heathens.
like for me, I was just about it. God damn it, you took that from me. But regardless, I had a few issues with pacing. I wished a little bit more went on, but it was like 24 minutes, which is pretty standard, like, episode runtime. I like they showed like a little bit of preview, which to me, they seem pretty confident that, because I'm sure like they already have like the funding from like beforehand, because I think like some of this, was it kickstarted? I
think so.
Yeah, because I have a vague recollection of that. But I thought the character dynamics were good. Like, the only thing that shocked me is this is aimed a little bit younger than I was expecting, which is fine. I just kind of, like, from the trailers and stuff, you thought it would be, like, a little bit more mature. Not that there's anything, like, wrong with that, but this, to me, just reads more like, a Disney-adjacent show, which is fine.
I actually kind of like that aspect of it, because a big problem with a lot of indie pilots right now is that they're aiming at, like, young adult to adult only. And part of me is just like, and we talked about this, why not make, like, a show or something like that, or a pilot that is aimed at, like, because I think every age range needs a show for them. You can't just be like, pre-K, we'll throw whatever hits the wall and hope that gathers every other age out there, and then the adult animation stuff. Because, like I said, everyone should have their own kind of show. And yeah, it plays more like a young, like an older preteen to teen age range.
Like, to me, this reads as like a show that could have aired on like Disney XD in like the early 2010s. And this thing with like the indie animation mostly being like adult oriented for a lot of it, I feel like part of that is like an overcorrection, since in normal industry made shows, they don't really make those kind of shows. So then you kind of get the problem on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
So, like, because the teen demographic for, like, animation, other than, like, anime in the West doesn't really exist.
Right. It's like that one producer said, what still does really well is either pre-K shows, adult shows, or anime. And unfortunately, because Hollywood is all about compartmentalizing shit because they don't want to deal with 100 different things, that just means it's like, oh, well, it's anime. That has an age range of everyone. No, it doesn't. Like, there are some shows that I know a lot of pre-teens and such would find utterly boring to watch.
Yep.
But it's like, I don't know. It's frustrating because I want there to be shows like Spice Frontier or that World War I show, or just like something for a younger audience, which is fine. I'm getting tired of the vibe of this Tumblr pre-turning to crap, or like turning more into garbage.
Yeah, more into crap. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I know, I had to correct myself. It's like, well,
back in my day, we had the frozen, tangled guardians of bullshit.
That was an era.
That was an era. Or Jack Frost and Elsa shipping culture.
Oh, God.
That's kind of my issue, is that, like, a lot of shows, and maybe this is what they wanted to do, which is fine. A lot of those creators grew up in that time frame. But it does seem like some pilots and shows are made specifically for the fanfic, fan theory, Tumblr shipping culture. And while that's fine, it does rob a lot of what makes a good show good. Sorry.
But not only that, just to kind of add to what you said, Cameron, is that if you do kind of want indie animation to like actually exist as a viable alternate way of like funding productions, then you need to have stuff that's, I don't want to say normie because that might come off as like a bit like pretentious, but you have to have like more general audience programming to make it viable.
You have to hit the like the biggest targets to get people's attention.
Because otherwise, you get nonsense like with what was going on with Knights of Guinevere, which segues into our animation news chaotic discourse of last week.
Yeah.
Which
Bree was right. Bree was fucking right.
we were right, like, especially you, Bree. We were freaking right to not panic about this shit. Which, y'all, animation takes so much time, and it takes money, and it takes, again, time to set up a entirely different production team to handle a show that's going to be 2D animated.
Look, I know LinkedIn is not a fun platform. Like, I use LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is the worst thing to ever happen. And, like, I don't feel any more professional using it. But if you want to kind of get an idea of, like, what's happening, you gotta follow, like, some of these studios on LinkedIn. Because what I said last episode, like, if you've been following, like, Glitch's, like, hiring for, like, the last 6 to 8 months, you would see that they're hiring, like, a lot of 2D folks. And then I believe Dana actually did an interview in Cartoon Brew where she kind of went more in depth saying, yeah, like, I get to build, like, this whole thing from scratch, blah, 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 blah. You know, it was, like, an interesting process. I'm like, yes, it was a process. That definitely happened.
Because that's what happens. And of course, they're now basically wrapping up production on the Amazing Digital Circus. They got like 1 episode left. After that,
think?
I thought it was 2, but I could be wrong.
I could also be wrong.
I thought it was only 8 episodes, so I think F7 was the penultimate. Unless there's like a secret 9th episode.
Oh God, no. Let's not get into that Stranger Things discourse again. No! I'm abandoning and shutting down this podcast if we do. So, yes, Knights of Guinevere officially got greenlit. Y'all need to shut up now and to look in the mirror with how ridiculous your theories and comments were. Oh, we haven't heard anything in 4 to 6 months. That must mean it's been canceled.
Which is, like, pretty normal for, like, Glitch's launches. And also, like, if you follow Data's Instagram stories, she's been posting a lot about Glitch. And I don't know about you, but it would be really fucking weird if she was no longer working for them to keep posting about them.
Yeah. But also, if you're just that impatient that, like, you need to get updates on, like, every step of the way.
Every fart.
Yeah, like, guys, first of all, have you ever heard the old expression, a watch pot never boils? Like,
chill, just freaking chill. And also, y'all did this again previously with the Gaslight District. And this was way after the Gaslight District got greenlit. Jesus, do you guys have the attention spans of goldfish? Because apparently you do.
That's an insult to goldfish. Because at least they can pay attention for 3 seconds.
Because it's like the moment they don't get something, they're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And it's like, it's been a day. This stuff takes time. I'm sorry that you apparently have the brain attention span to be gullible and the perfect victim for AI. Because that's all you kind of deserve. You deserve all the AI slop because it's instant, it's there. And I'm not saying this as a praise to AI. That's why generative AI sucks. Because there's no art to it. There's no time into it. It's killing our planet. And a bunch of it is run by a bunch of pedophiles.
Which is absolutely true. But it's like a generational thing. Like AI or no AI, like this idea of like instant gratification. And you know what? This is where I'm going to make myself old. You know, I think a lot of like millennial parents especially are the fucking blame for this. I'm sorry. I'm in the camp of like, you should not give your child like unfettered access to the internet and just constantly have like a phone in their hands. Like, the only reason I got a phone before I was 13 was because 9/11 happened. Literally, that was the only reason. And it was, God, it was probably a Nokia, considering back then. Like, I didn't even have my first smartphone till I was I had, like, graduated, like, community college, and I was going on to, like, a 4-year school, and I got it as a graduation gift. Like, and that was way after the iPhones had been around for, like, almost a decade at that point.
Yeah, the first iPhone came out in 2007, but I didn't get my first iPhone until I graduated high school.
But it's like this whole idea of like, oh, I need it now. Like, yeah, I need it now, and just like not patient, and also like the lower attention span of like social media and everything, people like not paying attention, then the schools just deciding, hey, our kids already have reading comprehension and, you know, critical thinking skill issues. Let's team up with ChatGPT. That'll make everything better.
That bubble cannot pop horrifically enough. So, yes, Knights of Guinevere is actually happening. So, please, let's not go through this again with Lackadaisy or any other pilot.
Cameron, you know better.
I know.
Alright, but hey, that wasn't the only thing Dana was cooking this week.
Yeah, Owl House is back, y'all, because y'all won't pay attention to anything else. But seriously, Owl House is returning as a manga, and I wasn't expecting that. Was this like a rights thing? Is this like she couldn't do it unless she got the rights back from Disney or something? Or
well,
is
it's still under the Disney label. I don't know, like the Eternals of Disney, but I would assume that this has probably been in the works, possibly since like the show ended. I mean, it might have been like just showing like the demand was there to justify doing it, because I know there was a previous incarnation of like a light novel, like a written novel that got canceled like a couple years ago, like when the show was still airing. So someone at Disney with like rights and stuff saw like, okay, we can justify doing this as a book, or someone in Disney Publishing.
I think that's the other thing, that like I think she said something on Blue Sky or wherever that Disney Publishing just like I guess took longer for this project to like get off the ground, but like you said, the demand was clearly there enough that like now is the time to actually release this.
I mean, it's like I would have rather had a fuller season, like season 3 or just season 3 and season 4, but you know, we don't live in a perfect world where animation fans actually go and support the shit that they want. And studio execs actually had an idea or an iota of, oh, we actually like the arts, the world of the world of art and film and TV. And well, you know, I'll take it. I bet it's probably going to be pretty good. I love the Owl House, not to the just nauseating degree other people did, but
I mean, I love the Owl House, but even then I'm like, yo, you guys, like, what the shit? But you know what's interesting about the novel is that it's going to be a 2-year time skip, you know, like past the epilogue. So we're going to be dealing with like an adult lose in Amity. So that should be interesting. Like, I don't think, like, no, this is not going to be an AO3 territory where, you know, they go, roo, or anything like that. But it will be interesting to kind of see these characters be in like slightly more adult situations.
Yeah, that's something I'm curious to see more of.
I'm down to reading this. I do find it interesting that, like, even though Dana and Alex Hirsch will have the utmost, like, no hesitation to say fuck Disney, which, yes, fair. But then they'll also do stuff like, you know, I'll come back from time to time as Bill Cipher, or do my own lore and source book because you guys fucked it up beyond comprehension. But I digress.
Well, I think there's a difference between Disney leadership and then the people that actually work for Disney.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like even within Disney itself, like there's the Walt Disney Company at like the top of the iceberg, and then you have all the different silos.
I'm not saying this is like, oh, this is a call out post to them. No, it's like, it's cool that they are still willing to go and be like, yeah.
Well, because they're professionals.
I know, exactly. unlike a lot of YouTubers that I know about. So,
But it's funny that you bring it up because I think I saw like on my Reddit notifications to be like, it was something of Dana like, so much for like the fuck you Disney of like Knights of Guinevere. I'm like, guys,
she can do both. She can make the Owl House manga while also making Knights of Guinevere. And again, and I've talked with creators about this situation because I was there when at Animation is Film to talk to the creator of Pretty Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl. You don't make a fuck you parody of something that you love because you hate it. You do it because you love it. She's not doing Knights of Guinevere as an entirely fuck you to Disney for screwing her over with the Owl House. I mean, part of it is there, but she's also talking about how Disney, this once quote unquote beautiful artistic company, is now a dystopian hollowed out husk, which is also true.
but like both you can both love Disney's like the stories that they've made over the years, but also think Disney the company is a fucking like abomination against God.
Yeah, both things can be true.
Like, I can like Zootopia too and still say screw you for screwing over Elio and the original director. It's not that hard. It's quite easy to do.
But nuance is dead according to the internet, so that's like the one thing. The fact that people don't have, the IRL experience of like, hey, sometimes you can make great pieces of art with people you don't like. It's almost like life is collaborating and troubleshooting.
And listen, everything can go your way at a studio, and things can still fall off the tracks. Because speaking of Disney alums, Matt Braley, boy, had the most whiplash-inducing couple of announcements to make. Because on one hand, his Thai fantasy-inspired animated film that he was working with Rebecca Sugar on at Sony Pictures Animation died. It's on the shelf. It's no longer happening. Very soul-crushing because Sony cannot be this innovator of animation while also playing the Disney company safeguard of we can't make a Thai fantasy film. Oh, wait, what do you mean K-pop Demon Hunters was the most successful animated film of last year? We don't know.
So the timing of this announcement, because if you read it like what he actually posted, is that this film actually got canned in January of last year, so that would be January 2025. And of course, K-pop didn't come out till that June, and I'm not going to be the one to spread rumors or speculation, but based off of what I heard, and then, of course, with Rebecca Sugar's announcements that she's going to work on a Moomins movie, none of the information revealed, again, from what I have heard, shocked me. I kind of figured for a while that this movie was dead, but still, it's very disappointing to hear.
Yeah, but the timing of all that is kind of, now it seems a bit like hindsight's 2020, because like you said, this project being canceled in January of last year, but then K-pop Demon Hunters blew up in June. It's like, whoops, we clearly don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, and there's also now that we're talking about it, what happened with Matthew Cherry's animated film at Sony? Did that get canned too? Or
yeah, I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah,
because
I actually forgot it was a thing till you mentioned it.
Because I remember back in 2020, after the Hair Love win at the Oscars, and then the television series for Hair Love called Young Love, which we unfortunately did not cover, but I heard it was pretty cute and fun. But yeah, it's he was working on something like an Egyptian animated film called Tut. But then, yeah, nothing much else has happened outside of that. And, I'm kind of worried now because it's like, Sony, did you greenlight a bunch of diverse projects about different cultures and you're now going to backpedal about that because someone either in the presidential seat or losers online was like, where's my white characters? Just saying. It's a little coincidence that you guys keep shelving. It can't even be that because they're not letting Gendy make anything, apparently. So even though they're like, we want to work with Gendy with a new movie again. And it's like, do you? Do you?
Because everything you're telling me would suggest otherwise.
Like, if you want to do something, then put that Black Knight movie back on display. Because that little tech demo that Gendy showed was a lot of fun. It's a very cool looking idea, and I love the art style. That would work really well. Like, the dude's made money for y'all. Why are you, like, having issues of yes, no, yes, no, yes, no? Pick one. Pick one.
Seriously.
But what about the sequel to Madam Web, Cameron? Think of that.
No. That could die.
Sony's clearly smarter than us and knows how to pick projects and run a studio. You know, we're just plebs.
Yeah, because who wants an entire franchise of Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man in them? With the announcement that the Thai fantasy movie that Matt was working on got canned, he is now making not only his own studio, but in March is launching a Kickstarter for his new indie series with his own spin on the Nutcracker story. And I like Matt. I think it was funny. He was at Animationist Film as one of the judges. I did not see him. I would have loved to have met him because he's, seems like a cool person. And I am going to try to get an interview chance with this guy for his new project. But he's putting a lot on the line with not only this new studio, but this new indie series because he is going to Kickstarter for it, like I just said. And hey, indie animation fans, this is where you actually gotta stand up and do something. Because if he can't make the pilot, well, then that studio better start doing some freelance work.
This is the time. Get on the ground floor now.
Yeah, and Matt's a dad now. I think his kid's 1 now, so I'm like, he is really sticking his neck out here. And if all of you have loved Amphibia, and, we're obsessed about it, and, we're screaming over the True Colors debacle, and you don't show up, I'm not forgiving you.
I just think animation fans, they're not preaching what they're screaming about.
Just to kind of roll this back to Tumblr, this is, the Tumblr old, aka, woke scold. They just moved to Twitter, and now they're all on Blue Sky. Y'all are the biggest hypocrites out there, and we're not even going to get into the race argument of this at all, but if you love the people who make your favorite shows, show up for them. Don't stand the studios that they happen to work for. Actually, put your money where your mouth is.
Because if you don't, then we'll get into situations like whatever is going on with the Loud House right now. Because one of the main writers for that show was like, well, I'm not working anymore. And
Production wrapped,
and either they worded it poorly or news or people just worded it poorly all over the social media, which big shock, that happens a lot. It kind of assumed that there was going to be no more Loud House, even though that's not exactly what is going on.
I mean, it kinda is, but also it isn't.
I mean, that's the thing. It's so confusing right now. Is it or is it not getting greenlit for a new season? Because then we dive into the whole issue of, there's a reason why we started this with GOAT. Because GOAT has marketed itself. You can look at the posters for it. from the artists that brought you Spider-Verse. What is going on with the studios right now is that they're not as interested to keep the artistic touch of animation alive, because outside of SpongeBob, and if the Loud House doesn't get renewed, and listen, I don't care about the Loud House. This is more of an overarching point that I'm trying to make here. What does Nickelodeon have?
I know that was a rhetorical question, but I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia and list off some of their...
I mean, the people that I know that have worked in Nick, over the last 2 or 3 years, they haven't been there for a while. My good friend Kat, she worked on Bossy Bear. She's been out of work for over a year. Pretty much everyone that I know, and I would say out of all the animation studios, Nick is where I kind of have the most context with, or have people that have worked there. I don't think there's anyone over there right now.
Because they got Avatar, but they got one new series in production, and then they're shoving the Aang-focused Avatar movie onto their streaming platform because fuck making money, I guess.
But SpongeBob bombed. I'm like, yeah, because you put it against fucking Avatar 3!
It's Zootopia 2!
Bomb.
And it was not even I hate using this term because it sounds condescending. It wasn't even a real movie. It was a TV special originally, then shoved onto the big screen, and sure does fucking look like it. Especially with how much it got ramshackled into trying to be a movie.
It's not quite as bad as Moana 2 in terms of we just need to put something on screen, so let's take TV quality animation and just gently spruce it up so it's good enough for the big screen.
Because I know Nick has one new show, but since I don't hear anyone actually talking about it.
Are you talking about Wild Park or Wild
Yes.
Pack?
I think it's Wild Pack. I think it has a little kind of fan base growing. I mean, it's popped up on my Reddit notifications.
That's good, because it looked charming as heck, and I just haven't had time to watch it, but I also don't feel like throwing down money for Paramount Plus, because the Allisons need to go away.
Oh, yeah. They need to stay away from the lion-based, zoological exhibits, the AI data centers. They need to just stay away from fucking everything.
Just go away. Nobody likes you guys. And because it's also they canceled the TMNT cartoon series after 2 seasons, which, was it actually 2 seasons, or was it, again, 1 season ripped into 2 halves? And I don't even know what's going on with the TMNT movies. Are they still making a Mutant Mayhem follow-up, or are they trying to do we're going to make a Sonic with the TMNT IP, and it's wait, that didn't work out in the first place. Why? They want to make these live-action animated hybrids, and it's just yeah, look what happened with the Michael Bay ones. They suck. They are horrifying, and I just don't know what is going on with all these studios. It's I know what's going on. They're run by people who do not understand how the world of art works, where you do have to constantly make risky investments that may not work for you. Hell, you could say that Men in Black was a profitable franchise, but due to some technical bullshit, apparently it still hasn't made a profit for Sony. And it's well, wait a freaking minute, how the hell does that work? What do you mean one of the most successful movies of the 90s is still not making a profit for one company? I don't get it. I don't get these people. These people do not like art. They just want to make the most money. They are the Silicon Valley reality TV slop factories.
And especially just to add on to that, and that's, I feel is the crux of the problem. I mean, the make more money thing, I mean, that's always been an issue.
That's just capitalism.
Yeah, that's just capitalism. But the main issue is that you have these, tech types. They're trying to run these studios tech startups, where you're getting capital on like the idea of like potential like infinite growth, on like a product. So it's based on like the idea of things. However, the film industry, the product is literally product. Like, how can you do something that's basically the antithesis of your business model for like the last century plus by not making product?
Because you can't just make 3 SpongeBob shows at once and then call it a day. It's like if the new movie bombed, you cannot say that SpongeBob can now be a viable entity if nobody showed up for the movie. So I don't get it. These companies are run by idiots who don't know what they're doing, or they just how dare the artistic the industry of making art of movies, shows, whatever. How dare they get more love than tech startups? Yeah, I wonder why. It's not that hard to put 2 and 2 together. I know Silicon Valley was trying to be this weird, quirky dramedy of what it's like working in the insane world of, Silicon Valley. I don't know,
That's just a documentary.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I think, am I supposed to feel sympathetic for these people, or am I supposed to hate everyone?
Well, I mean, it could be the always sunny logic, but the other aspect of it too is just to kind of get back to the tech startup. So if you're building the movie studios to theoretically be infinite wealth, we have streaming services, blah 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 blah. The other aspect of that is that you have the mystery box that could possibly be infinite wealth, but the reality is with movies as a product, even an IP as successful as Avatar, the ceiling for that is maybe $2.5-3 billion. There's only a finite amount of people that are on this planet that A, have access to a cinema, and B, want to watch Avatar, and C, how many times they can want to see it. There is a limit to how much money that you can make. There is not an infinite pool of wealth for making money for an intellectual property movie or whatever.
That's why you have to keep that pipeline going.
Exactly.
You can't cut it off from oxygen.
That's why, and I say this as someone who is actually looking forward to this new movie in the franchise, the new Minions and Monsters movie, which I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the trailer for it. Of course, I was there watching the Super Bowl, and it's what the heck is that little ad playing right now? And thankfully, we had some kind of artistic merit throughout that garbage fire of a advertising campaign for everything else during the Super Bowl, which was either crypto, AI, grifting bullshit. And even though, the last Despicable Me movie didn't make as much money, it still did pretty well, but it still didn't make as much money as, the last few Despicable Me movies. And even though I'm looking forward to this, I like that it's just really focusing on the Minions again, where we don't need a young Gru or whatever. It's you've ran that course already. So
yeah, and also it feels very French too, which I'm yes, because we forget sometimes that Illumination / MacGuff is a French studio, and I like to be reminded of that. And here's the interesting thing of Despicable Me too, as a franchise, is that their movies are more budgeted because yes, they're in France, so they can take benefit of the film tax credit system for some aspects of their production that's not done on the American side in Santa Monica. Is that they still push a lot of merch. So even if the movies do kind of go down over time, they're still pushing tons of Minion merches. So the amount of capital for them to be profitable, I feel is a lot, lower and bigger hot returns, so to speak.
I mean, like I said, I thought the trailer was very funny. I love the idea of the Minions wanting to make their own kaiju movie, so they just They just happened to summon Cthulhu of all people.
That's the kind of plot that's so ridiculous, but
It's
so my
whimsical.
kind of humor.
And I just think that's a delightful premise. And I like that it takes place in the past still. But like, even though like I'm praising this and I'm looking forward to a Minions movie, which is something I've never thought I would hear myself say. Not just because I'm a big hater on Illumination. We're not the entirety of animation YouTube who, you know, don't have an original thought in their own bodies. But at one point, I do think Illumination needs to branch out a little, because what will happen once that minion sized ceiling breaks or like does keep firm and you can't go further, then what happens? Like, what happened to that animation studio that they founded for more adult and experimentation things? Like,
Yeah, Moonlight. We since that announcement came out, we have heard nothing. And I know I basically said we were talking about Glitch, hey, don't freak out just because there's no news, but that announcement came out in
Was it like
2022.
3 years? No, 4 years ago, almost at this point.
so there's a reason to worry there. It's like, y'all, listen, I get it. The minions still make a lot of merch and profit, but let's also start diversifying your portfolio here.
Which, to Illumination's credit, they have been.
Fair. Yes, they have. And they are probably one of the few that are willing to do so. But yeah, it's like these people running the studios now are like, well, we gotta save money. And it's like, how about you stop dumping $500 million into one project and then another $500 million for marketing purposes? You ever think about that? Maybe your CEO shouldn't be making all the money in the goddamn world. What a concept. You can make anime. Like, it's just so funny because, yes, there are different cultural contexts with some of these. Some of the most successful films, like critically, from like across the pond, don't even, like Arco, Oscar nominated, $10 million budget. And I know they had to basically do a lot to get that budget, but it's like they got an Oscar nominated movie for like not even like a penny, not or like a fraction of like what most US animation costs to make that, or just most movies in general that Hollywood keeps burning through, which is just like, we don't have enough money to pay everyone fairly enough, but we have enough money to pay like our CEO for our new yacht. So it's just, where's that money going? And it's not showing up on screen, buddy. Really doesn't beat the allegations that Hollywood's a bunch of money laundering nonsense.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's frustrating. I love movies. I love animation. I am glad that, I guess, apparently Pete Docter is fully aware that Disney's had a rough time right now. So we're going to start making not only sequels, but we'll start investing into more original stuff also. Just don't fucking...
Don't expect hand-drawn animation, because, bitch, that is never happening.
Like, exactly. Like, again, if they want 2D animation to happen again, they need to hire a bunch of teachers. They need to train hundreds of people.
Like, if they really wanted it to happen, I mean, they need to start funding CalArts again, because that's what Walt did. So I'm like, bitch, pay up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or invest in cloning so you can just, like, clone Eric Goldberg, like, as many times as you need.
And James Baxter. Then we'll be saved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give them the Fountain of Youth, and you'll be set for life.
Maybe throw in a Glen Keane in there for good measure.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, I mean, like, I know we're talking about a lot of frustrating doom and gloom with the animation industry, but there are some good things that happen. Like, even though Braley lost his movie at Sony, Jorge Gutierrez basically got his film saved, I, Chihuahua, at the European film market. Like, basically another company came in. Oh yeah, UK production company Snafu Pictures has boarded the project. And I think that's great. Good for Jorge, because And I wonder if this is because of the El Guapo versus the Narcos vampires, like, positive reception. Because, well, what else? Because...
I mean, Jorge's been, like, grinding it for, like, the last 25 years.
Exactly. And, like, dude's stuff is great. Like, I mean, we gushed about El Guapo last episode because El Guapo was just a really fun pilot. Again, I will find myself quoting, "Hey, look, this guy doesn't appreciate the female form or appreciate the world of arts." And then it starts being... Oh, gosh. Just go watch the El Guapo pilot again. But anyway, that's good news because I think I was a little worried because I went down my own little conspiracy hole of, did they cancel Chihuahua because the Animation Guild was about to go on strike?
Oh God! If luckily
it could have been maybe like I don't think the percentage of that happening is 0. Let's just say.
Yeah, I think that's fair
because this was during around a time period when Netflix was just like, boy, howdy, did we spend way too much money with very little, like, return because we're Netflix and we're kind of idiots. And we didn't market our shit because, of course we didn't. We're Netflix. And they were like, oh, the entire industry is about to go on strike. We cannot let them have ammunition on us. It just seemed like it was timing, you know?
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Because, again, this was also the same time when Warner Brothers Discovery was just like, hey, all those cool animated projects that you have that aren't already almost finished, gone, bye. No one cares. Give us another 90 Day Fiancé spinoff because fuck you. But, I'm glad for Jorge's having his time in the spotlight right now. Fully friggin' deserves it. I wonder if they'll keep on Gabriel Iglesias as the lead star, even though I'm kind of not fond of him right now because he decided to do a comedy gig where the payoff was blood money. So,
oh yeah, he was on that tour.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities who did not need the money were there. So that's a whole other can of worms to deal with that I want to not talk about anymore because it's been months now, but it's also like such a monumental moment of, wow, y'all really just fell for some propaganda machine stuff, didn't y'all? Huh. Okay.
But I do think we should end this on, like, a positive note. Like, yeah, a lot of stuff is not great. Like, I feel like whitewashing and, like, the whole thing, like, oh, the animation industry is great, indie animation is the future, blah, 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 blah. I think having, like, the awareness of, like, yeah, things are bad, but not going all doomerism in it with it all and being like, look, yes, things are not great. The industry is in a cataclysmic state and needs our support because there's a lot of great stuff that's coming out. And if you guys really love animation and not just like the same 5 shows, but you have like nostalgia and you just believe animation is the greatest art form in the world, there's a lot of great things to support and you have to keep supporting them, any way as possible. Like, even just watching, like, all the pilots on YouTube, like, that helps. Like, I get money as an object. It's an object for a lot of people. Like, a lot of people are struggling, but just getting the word out is just as good.
Yep.
I mean, like, I want to end this on some of the most wild animation news from last week, which was, out of all the things G-Kids could announce that they acquired, they not only announced that they're picking up a it was funny, they had like 2 different announcements at least last week or so. Or even earlier, because they are picking up the Japanese animated feature Labyrinth, which is coming out in, I think, May, if I recall, so we'll have something to talk about in May. Yeah, May 10th through 11th.
Nice.
But they also said, hey, you know what? Everyone else is screwing up with helping animation find a wider audience, let's do the most possibly out of left field purchase since the Shaun the Sheep pickup earlier this year. We picked up Bruno Bozzetto's film catalog, the famed Italian animator. And his name might not mean a whole lot to a lot of you because a lot of you do not care about foreign animation to the degree that we do and that companies like Deaf Crocodile do. If you have been around the animation talking heads YouTube side of things, you probably do know about a small little film called Allegro non troppo. And that is one of the most famous foreign animated films of all time. It is basically Italy's answer to Fantasia. And I'm not just trying to make a cheeky little comparison. The film openly makes fun of that aspect of it. If you watch the trailer for it, the actor is saying, like, we're making this movie called Allegro non troppo. It's the first animated feature film to line up animation with music. And then he picks up the phone. Yes? Okay, my lawyer is telling me right now that someone has already done that, and it's at some place called Schmizny, Zinny. Trying to be extremely coy with the fact that this 1976 animated film is basically a more slightly experimental version of Fantasia. And that also means that they're getting Bruno Bozzetto's West and Soda, which was a parody of spaghetti westerns from, I think, the 1960s, if I recall. That's when
1965.
And I've seen that movie. It is very funny. There's a scene where the main cowboy lead character is talking to the damsel of the movie, saying, like, I've been trying to work on myself. I forgot exactly how this goes, but he's like, I've been working on myself, and I went to go see my therapist, and I was shocked that he was dead. What happened? Well, I shot him. Just, like, the most out-of-pocket jokes out of an animated film that I've seen. And if you've seen the animation for Allegro non troppo, it is wild. It is amazing. And I was expecting, like, Deaf Crocodile to pick this up because they're the ones picking up, like, all the Russian and other European animated movies.
No, but Daddy G Kids swept in.
Like, it's amazing. And
oh, wait. I know how I know Bruno Bozzetto. Do you guys remember that that cartoon or the What a Cartoon short Help?
Let me see.
It's the one where the cat is, like, he's doing, like, some crochet and then gets he injures himself with a needle and is rushed to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, I kind of remember this. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a memory deep inside my, like, safe in my brain of What a Cartoon. I remember this short. Oh, that's wild. So, it's like, listen, I'm glad Neon and other companies are showing interest with supporting foreign animation. But let's be real here. It shouldn't have taken until the new year for Arco to come out. A24 royally fucked up bringing over Neza 2 back into theaters. G-Kids seems to be the only company, alongside a few other companies like Discotheque and Deaf Crocodile, who are absolutely saving animation and making sure that animation from around the world has a wider audience to it. And I'm not just saying that because of what they pick up. G-Kids is also throwing down their money where their mouth is by bringing over this folk horror. Well, they are not only bringing it over, supposedly, but they're producing this movie, which was announced during the European film market. A plague-era romance called Pesta. And you look at the poster for it, the key art of one shot, it's like, G-Kids cares. And I'm sure a lot of this helps because of, they have Big
The
Daddy
Toho.
Yeah.
Toho. Yeah, Daddy Toho.
Fronting the bill to do this, but imagine the fact that a smaller company got bought out by Toho, like a huge company, and they're still chugging along doing the thing that made them famous. That's like unheard of right now, especially with what's going on with the animation industry. Cartoon Network is basically Warner Brothers Animation now. Nickelodeon is just, I don't know what the hell to call Nickelodeon.
They're basically in animation purgatory.
Yeah.
And anime is continuously having the exact opposite issue of the American animation industry, where they are greenlighting things left and right to the detriment of the quality and burning out everyone else. But here's G Kids just being like, hey, you know what? We're going to bring over that Shaun the Sheep movie. We're going to bring over that Japanese animated film Labyrinth, and we're also going to bring over this Italian animated film.
Yeah, because we know you fuckers are going to watch Godzilla -0, so have fun.
Exactly. They're going to have so much backing for that after when that movie comes out. Oh my god, I can't wait. I don't know enough about what the new movie's about, but I hope it's good. Like, I mean,
it's a sequel to -1, so...
Yeah, so I have no doubt that the movie's going to deliver.
And it's most of the same team, I think.
I think so, too. So, that's good. That's something that we could all make sure happens more in the future, with just, in general, just like having either new people make new stuff, or having the people that made your stuff good treated well and back in the production side of things. So,
and like the other benefit too of like, even if you're not like the biggest Godzilla fan, like why, as like not just a film fan but an animation fan, why you should support it. This is getting a near day and date release. If this does as well as we think it's going to do, that's going to be a very good sign for like future like Ghibli projects or anything that G-Kids has the rights to. For getting like near simultaneous releases.
I may be asking for the moon here, but do you think -0 could make $1 billion, or is that just too much?
That might be a little much, but depending...
I don't think it needs that kind of money. Like, if it can make, like, $100 million domestically, then that is phenomenal.
Then they're set.
Because that's the thing. The director was like, we had a small budget for this. And to some degree, you can tell. But on the other hand, that budget was used so well because the director and the team knew exactly what they were doing, that you didn't know, and you don't care. Even if he didn't really announce it, because obviously if he announced it, people were going to do what US does, and says like, well, if you can make it for this, can you make it for even less? And it's like, no.
No.
Why are you morons in Hollywood like this? So, some positive news to end on. Well, I'll say this. I wonder where G-Kids is going to go to next, because they basically have most dibs on the French and Japan's film market. Now they have their hands into other parts of Europe, especially with Italy. Where could they go next? And I don't think Russia is going to be anywhere near that, not because of any political reason, but I'm sorry, but unfortunately a lot of the projects that are coming out there are not what G-Kids is looking for. I wonder if they'll go back into picking up more stuff from China, or bringing over old films from China and such, because even though the animation scene in China is booming like crazy, it still feels like no one's interested in picking up the interesting stuff that's coming out from over there.
Yeah, it would be nice if like and not that China necessarily needs this, because they have like a really huge population, but
yeah, like
just
their domestic film market is like a completely different level to ours.
Oh, I'm just saying selfishly as a fan, it would be nice if someone like G-Kids could be like, hey, you guys want to see this stuff, don't you?
Yeah, it's like make a deal with whatever studios you need to over there and like they used to pick up all the Light Chaser animation projects until they kind of stopped. And then there are also other amazing other projects and even old stuff. Like if they got their hands on I think the Shanghai Animation Studio stuff, which is like the Havoc in Heaven and the really mind-boggling watercolor animation that they were pulling off back in the day before communism came through and ruined it. That would be amazing. Like again, like I said, you got to look up some of those really old animation like shorts from China from back in the day because it's like you'll be wrapping your head like and possibly crushing it, wondering how the hell did they pull this off? This is amazing. This is before computers and digital watercoloring and such. It's like, wow. And I hope like either Neon and A24 take a more serious approach to animation distribution, or G Kids just get so big that they branch off into like G Kids 1 and G Kids 2 at this point because they're the ones putting in the legwork. Not that Neon is struggling or anything. It's not like they haven't cornered 2/3 of the Oscars this year or anything like that. But I think that's it for this episode. We're going to take a break and then we're going to come back with, a steady string of episodes that includes the winter anime season discussion and then the New York International Children's Film Festival, and then, of course, whatever else is coming out. So
Until next time, Bree, where can everyone find you online?
Well, if you wish to find me on the internet, you can find me at crazylemur.bsky.social. I'm also on Instagram at lemurs1, where I'll post pictures of my dog, cooking content, or sometimes randomly reels about me watching the Ghost Adventures movie and it taking 4 hours to get through a recording session, and the title screen alone took us like 7 minutes to go through. So, yeah, if you just want to see me suffer, check Instagram.
And Cameron?
you can find me on Blue Sky at Cam's Eye View. I have my own website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films and shows from around the world called The Other Side of Animation. I also am a contributor to Media Magpies, your new one-stop shop for written film criticism and discourse around and other pop culture shenanigans. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. That's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube at Renegade Pop Culture or Organoid Zero. You can also find us on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.